Now, Boban, why don't you quickly explain our working relationship, what you do at YBR?
Yeah, can do. So my title is Chief Recruitment Officer.
Yep.
So I look after strategy, growth, and recruitment for the entire group.
Yeah, which means when you say growth, you're talking about in recruitment of
Yep.
what?
Of franchises and broker groups.
Into the YBR group.
Into the YBR group.
So, and what's your background? Where were you before?
Where was I before? I was general manager of a company called Rate Money.
Yep.
Also another franchise business. It's now quite a significant business, but settles about $3.5 billion a year. General manager, head of white label at Pepper. So ran that for quite some time. Also did a JV with KKR and Pepper, ran their China division. Before that, Citibank, St. George, CBA, you name it, I've done it.
So you know how lenders work, you know how brokers work.
Yep.
More importantly, you know what brokers want.
yes, I do.
I feel like I'm watching that Mel Gibson movie, What Women Want. You know what brokers want, and you could probably make a movie about it. You've been around long enough. And we started this broker room off, this podcast off. I mean, you were around when we first started this. And the objective was to talk to brokers, to tell brokers the sorts of things they needed to know, bring in guests from wherever we can. You've recruited all these guests that I've been talking to over the years. And, I mean, it's a tough environment. It's a hard environment being a broker. It's not an easy road. Brokers have got to have contacts. They've got to have referrals. They've got to have systems. They've got to have people they follow to see what's best practice. They've got to keep up to date. And part of Broker Room was to try and bring all those elements to our audience so our audience can at least hear the conversations that I've been having with those various inputs, including I've met people who have got product to talk about. That may be non-bank lenders coming to talk about their product. I've had bankers in here talking about their product. It may be talking to organisations about other types of lending products, not just mortgage products. It could be, FF&E stuff. It could be leasing, blah, blah, blah. All of these people you recruited, you brought them all in. And a lot of these people turn up to our functions. They end up at our annual function that we hold every year. They have kiosks trying to sell their wares. And the objective is to bring those people into our environment to talk to our audience. Now, I've been doing that. But I put to you the other day, I actually think it's time you took over this. Are you happy to do that?
Absolutely.
What do you think that you're going to present to our audience? I mean, what do you want to do? Where do you want to take this? What are the sorts of things you want our audience to take away from listening to Boban and his guest?
Well, two things. I don't want to reinvent the wheel here, but two things I want to talk about is, something that's a hot topic at the moment in the industry is broker diversification. And bringing in different leaders from different parts of the finance industry, and teaching our brokers, our listeners, around how to expand into different products. If you've got a home loan broker, how do you expand into like you said earlier on, leasing, car loans, unsecured debt, personal, whatever it might be. So that's the first part. The second part is about bringing in these senior leaders in the industry and effectively humanizing them. And I'll give you a quick story. It's actually about yourself. And I was at a barbecue. Maybe a couple of weeks ago. And someone said to me, we know you work with Mark. We heard your podcast. How is Mark? How is Mark in real life? I said, Mark's an absolute champion. And they all looked. There was a bit of a silence, I think they expected me to say something else. And I said, look, he's brutal in business, and that's why he's the best at what he does. But Mark's just another dude. Like, he's just one of us. And they all looked at me and said, what do you mean? Like, I said, he's just a champion. And one of the guys tried to catch me off guard, and he said, oh, what car does he drive? I said, he drives a Hilux. And he said, no, mate, no, you're pulling my leg. No, I said, he drives a Hilux. Like, he's not, I think they expected me to say a Lamborghini or something. And that's what I want to bring to this podcast. I want to humanize a lot of the guys that we bring in, GMs, CEOs, heads of distribution, etc. And so that's what I want to do. I want to tell their story, just
expose them.
Yeah, take it from there.
Because if I'm a broker and I turn up to an aggregator's annual function, or if I'm a YBR franchisee or an Aussie franchisee and I turn up to the YBR or the Aussie or the Rams annual function, after the function I'll walk around the exhibition room and there'll be people standing at kiosks. But I don't really get a chance to get to know these guys, and I don't really get a chance to find out whether or not I could sell their product in my environment. And so what you're saying is you're going to bring in the founders or the GMs or the representatives of these various kiosk people. Could be a bank, could be ANZ Bank, and you're going to ask them about their story, and you're going to sort of show who they really are. They're not that scary.
Spot on.
And they want your business. They want you to lend their product.
Yeah. And the good thing about the broker room is that it's not just the brokers that are listening. There are other people in the industry that are listening. And it might inspire people to say, hey, I can actually do this. I can climb the ladder in corporate. I can take the next step. I don't need to be afraid. These people are just like me, and if I work hard enough and if I put my head down, then I can be that person too. So that's an ancillary.
Try and inspire them, motivate them, and also expose them to products. And by the way, what's important here too, I guess, is broker room can allow lenders to talk about what they've got. They very rarely get a platform to talk about what they got. I mean, like especially some of the non-bank lenders, or some of the, we've had some women on come onto the broker room to talk about how important it is for women to do well, and the opportunities for women to do well. And by the way, borrowers quite like dealing with women when it comes to borrowing money. There's probably a perception that only blokes get on in this industry, but a lot of women are better at the research, and they're sort of less scary than the blokes. Have a little bit more empathy too, by the way. So I'd love to see more women in this industry. So will you be able to bring that sort of stuff to broker room?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. So our first guest is Marie Biagi, and she's the head of partnerships at a company called Shift. And one of the topics we'll be touching on is women in finance. What are her views on that? How do you get in? Who can they use as a mentor? So yeah, absolutely, yes. Bringing all of that to the podcast.
Well, that's great, and I'm actually really confident. I mean, I just wanted to get this up and running. I'm really confident that you can do this job. I'm looking forward to listening to Broker Room myself. I'm really curious who your guests are going to be and how you curate your guests, because that's going to tell me what you're thinking about when it comes to how brokers best survive in the current environment. And it's really important for people to listen to industry experts, and that's what you're going to bring to the table. So, Boban, good luck, mate. And obviously, I'm going to see you. I see you nearly every day in the office anyway. It doesn't matter. But if there's anything I can do for you, you let me know. I want this to be a great success, and I'm sure you can do it. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much.